Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about cleaning. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I hate cleaning. I don't like using the word hate. I strongly dislike cleaning. Clutter really doesn't bother me. Massive amounts of clutter bothers me. So like, having one little pathway to walk through the house in that pathway, that bugs me. But having like things kind of lying around, like, things on here, not a huge deal to me. Essentially, it takes me a lot longer for it to bother me and then to like go and clean it. And I'm not putting all the blame back onto my childhood. Part of my personality, I am lazy. But second to that, as a kid, I wasn't like made to clean. So it never really became like a habit or a thing that we did as kids. And the downside to that I see now is that like that habit does not continue on to adulthood. So I don't know if it's just my personality. I don't know if it's just kind of the way I am, where like clutter doesn't bother me as much. I would love to have a clean house all the time. I just don't like being the one to be constantly doing it all the time. And I find the most like discouraging thing is to put so much effort into cleaning something and then like turn around and like that evening or the next day it's completely messed up again. And I know that's just like part of what comes with having kids and stuff like that. We like for Josh and I, we 100% get the kids like, okay, no, we got to clean up after ourselves, things like that. But then like things come up and it's like, okay, well, we got to clean this up, but we got to do this, we got to do this. And sometimes we aren't as diligent as like we could be with making sure the kids clean up after themselves. Point being though, I have been on this massive, like, I want to like reorganize the house, declutter it. We're going to do a, exercise room in the playroom. So we have to basically reorganize the entire main floor to make that room empty so we can make it into an exercise room. But for me, it's like every single time I clean a room and I get it to where like, okay, now we can start moving furniture around. Cause I mean, I'm 8 months pregnant. I can't go and move furniture around on my own kind of thing. Every time I get it to that point, a day or two goes by and all of a sudden it's like completely messed up again and I have to clean it all over again. And so essentially what my long-winded rant is about is the fact that I'm trying to get myself into a cleaning routine because I never like established one as a child or a teenager or a young adult. I'm still young. But you know what I mean? Like I never just established an actual cleaning routine. I have put things into my calendar that I use my calendar all the time where it's like, clean the bathroom today and clean this and clean that. And it's just like, yeah, it comes up, it pops up. And I'm like, I just don't have time to do that right now or something like that. You know what I mean? There's always an excuse I can come up with as to why I don't need to clean. But so I'm trying this new thing because I took business classes last year. I had to take like and like whatever kind of open course you want to take kind of thing. So I was taking psychology as these like filler classes to get all the credits for my business certificate that I ended up getting. So anyways, point being though, in the 2 psychology classes I took, it talked about habits and forming habits and like positive reinforcement, and like the best way to start like a new habit, because everyone thinks like, oh, it takes 3 weeks to like start a habit. It doesn't. It actually takes, I don't have access to my textbook anymore because they do like, you don't just buy a textbook anymore. You like subscribe to a textbook for a certain amount of time for online textbooks. So I don't have access to the textbook anymore, or I would 100% like quote it and give you the page and all that and the title of the book. I don't remember the title of the book, but it was like 66 days or something like that is what it takes to truly form a new habit. And so it's not just 3 weeks. It's like just over 2 months. And so what my goal is this year along with the other resolutions I have, which I've been doing fairly well with, honestly. We have not done takeout. I haven't quite been journaling as much as I'd like to, but I found that was actually like the two things that I wanted to do with journaling are very high on the like mental health and wellness like checklist thing. Anyways, I was like, oh, that's cool. But anyways, point being, I want to start implementing a cleaning routine. The problem with trying to do everything all at once is that you become overwhelmed. Then you become discouraged because not one thing is checked off your to-do list. You've done like little things here and there and everywhere, but not one whole thing has been completed. So you can't essentially like check something off your checklist, and you don't have that positive reinforcement. And like it basically just goes by the wayside if you overwhelm yourself with trying to start too many new things at once. So I figured to keep the house clean on a regular basis, I'm going to pick like one room. And every day, like that room is just going to be tidied up and cleaned. So like I'm going to start with the kitchen. So like there's no dishes lying around. The countertops are cleaned off. They get a nice little wipe down every evening. The stove just gets like, you know, wiped off. But the kitchen is going to be clean. And then once I have that as a habit every day of making sure that the kitchen is clean, then I'll add a second room to that and just start doing that over time. Yes, it's going to take a long time to essentially be in the habit of making sure that every room is constantly clean. But once one room is a habit of being cleaned, it doesn't take a lot of work to completely clean that room because it's already just always maintained and cleaned. So this is my thought process. Obviously, we'll see how well it goes. And like, I want it to go well. I don't mean that in a negative way. But anyway, so we're going to start with the kitchen. We'll move on to another room once the kitchen becomes a habit. And like I was saying, basically, if the kitchen is always cleaned up and tidied and organized, then it's not going to be hard to maintain multiple rooms. This is my theory because it has not come into practice yet. But it shouldn't be too hard to maintain multiple rooms once you're like constantly making sure that essentially like all the rooms are maintained and cleaned on a like pretty much daily basis kind of thing. So that's the thought, that's the hope. Because essentially there's two things for that. One, it's good to teach the habit of like cleaning up after yourselves, keeping a clean house and all of that to kids. So the best way to do that is to do that yourself, because kids imitate what they see. But two, the flip side of that, if they're living in a cluttered house all the time, then they're going to grow up and like that's just what they're used to. Sometimes that does go on the flip side of it. Like if that drives them crazy, then they will never have a cluttered house because they didn't like it as a kid. My kids don't seem to mind all that much. So anyways, we're going to try and keep and teach a good habit of keeping a nice, like clean house. The house is clean. It's just the organization, the things lying around, the like leaving your plate on the table, things like that. Just like the typical things you teach kids. But again, like I'm not in any type of cleaning schedule or cleaning habit. So we're gonna add that to our list of things we're doing for 2023. Just because, like I said, we are completely overhauling and reorganizing the entire main floor to get an exercise room. Actually, it's this room. So like that doesn't need to look like that. So yes, with completely reorganizing the entire house to get the exercise room being able to like be an exercise room, we're going to get into the cleaning habit, declutter things, go through that, and like donate toys that they don't play with, and organize that way better than it is. Because it's like essentially it was supposed to be a bin of costumes, a toy bin, and then like a baby toy bin where it's a lot of the like very first toys that babies are going to play with kind of thing. But it's just kind of turned into a like we're just going to throw things everywhere in this general area. So anyways, point being, we're going to take 2023, we're going to organize the house, we're going to rearrange the house, and we're going to keep the house clean this year. And we are going to get an exercise room into this back room When does spring start? That might be a little lofty. Let's say by the start of April. That's going to be the goal. We're setting the deadline. March, how many days are in March? 30 days has September, April. So 31 days in March. We are going to have this room completely cleaned and like completely cleaned out and empty so that we can make it into an exercise room starting in April. And the rest of the house is going to be reorganized by the start of April. I think that's a good goal. We've got March break in there. The kids can help. Josh is off the majority of that week, so he can help. But that's going to be our goal. And we will accomplish it. And we will make sure that by that time we are consistently, or me, not we, like you don't have to do this. But I am consistently keeping the kitchen cleaned and like just cleaned off. The countertops are cleaned off, things get put away and all of that stuff. Because if I can have the kitchen consistently cleaned by that time, that's a good 2 months in, and I can start with another room by the time the exercise room comes in. So that's my plan. We'll see how well it goes. And yeah, if you guys have like any tips and tricks on keeping a clean and tidy house, I definitely would not mind hearing about them. I watch a lot of like organizing and tidying videos and all of this stuff, but these people have these like massive houses that are like modern builds. They look so nice and they're already like pre-organized and they're basically just putting stuff away. And I'm like, that's great and that's all like fine and dandy, but like we're talking about actually starting the habit of cleaning and doing these things. So if you have any like articles or videos or anything like that pertaining to starting the habit, I'd love to know. So, but that's my goal. These are my, like, that's my theory on how this is going to work, how well it's going to work. They wrote about it in a psychology book, so it's got to be right? So anyways, stay tuned. I'll give you guys regular updates on how it's going. And yeah, so we'll see. Have a good day, guys.